Why Baptists like to sit at the back. It's just very unchristian. There's the gaps here. Fill the gaps before you go back there. All right. Wonderful. So I don't know why you want me to talk about dating, because you already know what it is all about. What do you guys want to find out? What do you want to know? Yeah. We're going to have a conversation. So, what do you guys want to know?
From what point do you go from dating
Mm-hmm.
to start taking those steps to realize, okay, maybe I should work towards that?
Oh, okay. So,
Be a place before that is not happening.
okay. So when do we get serious? In other words, okay. Anything else you want to know? What else you want to know? Is that all you want to know? That's it. That's it. Okay.
Tell us what to do.
Oh my goodness, we have a problem. So, when I was growing up, there was a movie which you can watch, because I think it's on YouTube now, but I could be wrong. It's called The Wonder Years. It was done 1968, so it's a long, long time ago, before any of you were born. But what's amazing about the story there, it actually talks about the development of the human being and then the associated interests and everything that comes with that. What I want to focus on in terms of dating are the risks involved, and then hopefully come to resolutions. Is that all right? It will speak into some of the questions you've raised. And along the way, we have about 45 minutes, 43 by now, because we've taken 2 minutes. And if along the way you have a question you want to ask me, you're most welcome to stop and ask, but I'll also ask a few questions. I'm going to put up a few pictures for you to kind of tell me what's going on, what are you seeing, because I took them off the kind of sites you guys would visit, and they are reflecting different stories. So here's my first picture of a guy and a girl. What do you observe in this picture? What do you see? Sexual harassment. Okay, so why do you call it sexual harassment? He's forcing her. How is he forcing her? He has cornered her, right? So, has any of you been cornered before? Anybody been cornered? Yeah. Okay. What you're seeing in this picture is does the girl look like she's interested? Okay. Does she look happy? Okay. What about the guy? What do you think he's saying to her?
Bad things.
Bad things for sure. Okay, he's probably saying, you are mine and you're going nowhere, kind of thing. And the girl saying, no, I don't like you. But because the guy looks big and so forth, she feels threatened in that moment. Now, that's a scene that plays itself out in many of your experiences if you are not in a safe place. So, and the school can be that place. It can be at the mall, it can be anywhere. So you need to realize that there's some places where you may find yourself in a very awkward place like this, and usually it's the kind of people you're going to allow into your life that will get you to this point. Now, you don't need to be in this place as a girl, and as a guy, you don't need even to do this with anybody. So we'll talk about some of the aggression that you encounter in a relationship and why this happens. Okay, here's another picture. What's going on in this picture? The two guys are what? They're fighting over a girl. So what happened? Why two guys fighting over a girl? Okay, so do girls do that today? Yes. Oh, go out with two guys at the same time? Does that happen? Okay, do guys do that? Yes. So guys also can have multiple partners. Now, one of the things you need to realize about this kind of situation is when you train yourself to getting used and comfortable with multiple partners, you don't settle down and stop for the rest of your life. Because that's what you're actually doing. You're allowing your system to get used to multiple partners. One day when you want to settle down, you actually can't. It doesn't happen because you simply carry on with this idea of one or more partners. So that's what you need to realize here. In fact, if I were you, which I'm not, if I am in a relationship with a girl or a guy and realize there's somebody else, that's already a signal I'm with the wrong person. Do you get that? That's already telling your story, I am in a relationship with the wrong person. So watch out if you find yourself in a conflict kind of situation where you're having to choose between one or the other, and that's already a situation you must not even allow yourself to be into. Here's another picture. What's going on here? Asking for who is asking for forgiveness? Who is asking for forgiveness? The guy? So what happened? What do you think might have happened here? Yes.
She felt he did something wrong. In the meantime, he did nothing wrong.
Are you speaking from experience? Okay, so we have a situation where something happened in the relationship. My impression of it, if I look at the lady looks like she is not interested in the guy anymore. But something drastic happened, right? So he's trying to appeal to her, and she's saying, I'm not having any of it. So it looks like the brother is cooked his goose, right? He has made a serious blunder. And the sister is not prepared to buy whatever he is trying to say. That happens, right? So if a person upsets you deeply, like really, really super deeply, there are things that are kind of easy to move on after, but there's some things that are so hard. So one of the things you need to be processing in this time of your life is really what are the boundaries? What are things I think I'll be able to handle and move away from, or things that I just not going to be able to tolerate? You need to make that call. So I'm not going to give you any examples because you're going to use me and say, but he said. No, I'm going to leave that in your hands to be able to make that judgment call. Here's something else. What's going on there? Bullying? Does that happen? Where does it happen? Where does bullying happen? Everywhere. You experienced it? but you say it happens everywhere. So I'm interested in hearing, does anybody face this at the moment? School? Yeah? A little bit. It's not an issue. It's for us to realize that these are some of the realistic issues that you come across. Do you know why this is important for me to raise now? It's that sort of bullying and isolation that may force you to get into a relationship that you didn't really want, so to find acceptance and security. Did you see my point now? So it's not that this situation is right or wrong. I'm not judging that. I'm actually looking at the impact of something like this in your life and what might happen as a result, where you start a relationship with a guy, if you're a girl, not that you really are interested in the relationship, you just want to have somebody in your life. And usually what happens, that relationship becomes serious, but at the back of your mind, you were not really ready for it. It was an escape from what was happening in your life, and you start hanging out with other people that you were not prepared to hang out with simply because you want an escape. Happening in some of your lives? So it's called a relationship of convenience. It's not good. Usually you should have the option to really choose the person you really want to hang out with, but don't be forced because something is not working out with your girlfriends or guy friends. Then you feel that. Here's another one. What's going on here? Ah, nothing. It's searching. Okay, there you go. It's back. What's going on here? What is she saying to him? Okay. I think she's saying it's over, right? You don't think so? He's saying, why did you do it again, right? But I think she's saying, let's just be friends. And when a girl says that, she's just saying, it's not good, right? When she says, let's be friends, dude, it's over. It's not going to, it's not going good. Yeah, friends is like she's saying, I want to be your sister, like a sibling, that's. Okay. So we want to look at all these stories. What do you think is happening here in this picture? Breakup text, maybe. Maybe. Is that how you break up these days? You send a text and say it's over! Exclamation mark. How do you do it? Well, because the other girl is also on the phone, I think it's one of those, you call it cyberbullying these days, where maybe an image has been sent that was private. Now the whole school, in your case, the whole world knows. That's what happens. Now, let me say something up front. Don't send your intimate pictures to anybody. In fact, you must not even have them. Did you get that? Because you have no idea who has access to those pictures and what they can do with those pictures. Guys like trophies, so when they want trophies, they'll tell you, take a picture like this. Because they go brag with it. Oh, look at mine, and then they call you and say, "Now, I want one that goes much below this," and then you send that picture to the guy. Well, he has that picture of you, and he can use that picture to manipulate you, or vice versa, because all they need to tell you is, "You break up with me, the whole world will know." And then you're thinking, mommy, daddy, my uncles and aunties and cousins will all know what has happened. That's not a cool thing to do. To send pictures of yourself that are very private to somebody else. You shouldn't even have those kinds of pictures at all, because they'll backfire usually. Now, I know the guy tells you he loves you like Christ loved the church. No. He's not in love with you, he's in love with himself. And he's just using you as a trophy to get whatever he wants, because only 2% of people who date as teenagers actually get married. 2%. So that person that you think is going to marry you, chances are it's not going to happen. 2%. high school sweethearts. Yeah, the rest of you who date as teenagers, you don't get married. You will meet somebody else, especially if you meet in high school and then you go to different universities, or they are nicer people at varsity than they were in high school. Just for you to know. Oh boy. What's happening there?
It kind of looks like there was a breakup of the mom supporting her.
Okay, so the mom is now supporting her because there was a big breakup. You know what? These relationships that you call dating, can I define what dating is? Dating is really you taking your heart and giving it to somebody else, hoping they would look after it. It's an investment where you take your heart and you give it to somebody else to look after it. And unfortunately, the person you hand it over to is, number one, inexperienced, number two, stupid, number three, more stupid. You want me to carry on? You get the point now? That's the person you're investing your heart with. That's why, people say, we're just dating. No, you're not. Because when you break up, it hurts. Like big. Because somebody else was looking after your heart and you thought we were just dating. No, you're not. You're doing a lot more. There's a lot you are investing in that relationship. The person you're investing in that relationship with is unfortunately not at the best place to look after your heart. Did you get that? That's why mommy has to come in. You stop eating for days. You lose your appetite. Well, you will get hungry eventually. You will eat. So we'll let you have a few days of that. So I really want to focus on this whole aspect of dating. Let me look at a few statistics that will help you process all of this. Number one, research has found that 3 in 4 teens said that the boyfriend or girlfriend relationship usually begins at the age of 14 or younger. So your generation is starting to date much, much younger. Now, the trouble with this dating is that most of your parents don't even know about it. It's done in secret. And when you do it in secret, what you are actually doing is you allow certain things to thrive because they only thrive in secret. And mostly they are regrettable things, because at 14, I can tell you now, you don't know much. I know you think you know a lot, but you don't know much. You know very little. And the person that you are also trying to be in a relationship with is as inexperienced as you are. Because this is what I discover. So I'm a marriage officer. I do a few weddings for young couples who want to get married once in a while. I don't do many. But before I marry them, I usually bring them into my study and I ask them one simple question, which I can ask you because most couples who come to be married cannot answer that question. And the question is, what is marriage? Cannot answer it. Anybody who wants to answer me? What is marriage? Simple answer, right? What is marriage? Who wants to tell me? You want to try? Oh, go ahead. Oh, sure. Make my day. Two becoming one in Christ. That's it? Two becoming one in Christ. Okay, so what's the role of the husband? What's the role of the wife? But 99% of couples who come about to be married cannot answer that question. And the ones that follow up, that I would ask them, they have no idea. Now, 2/3 of your generation are being raised in single-parent homes. In other words, they've not had the opportunity to actually see what a home, a normal home, looks like. Now, they're about to be married, and they had no experience or exposure to the home. How in the world would they play a role when they don't actually know what this is about? Those are some of the accompanying issues that you find we have to have at the back of our minds. At the same time, then, you're beginning at a much younger age to get into these very intimate relationships, bearing in mind our definition of you taking your heart and trusting it with a 14-year-old. That's what you're doing. Oh, that's not very wise. But I want you to think about it. Okay, let's look at another statistic. More than 1 in 3 11 to 12-year-olds said that they've been in a relationship, and sex is considered to be a normal part of the relationship for 11 to 14-year-olds. So, the current information I have suggests that young people as young as 11 are now sexually active. Okay, so can I help you define what sex is? Is that all right? Because I know you don't. You don't know the answer. Anybody wants to tell us what sex is? I see you going like, I don't want to do this one. Okay. Sex is the only human encounter that involves all your faculties all at the same time in an exchange with somebody else's faculties at exactly the same time. There is not an aspect of you that's absent at that time. That means it's a great exchange that takes place there. You talked about the two becoming one, right? So when you disengage, you are already super glued to somebody if you like. So you can't now take yourself away. You have done this. So the super glue works like super glue. Two pieces become one. Now if you try to separate them, what happens? You actually lose both. Okay, so I'm using graphic language. The door agrees. Graphic language for you to understand what intimacy is, the sacredness and the sanctity of that union that takes place there. So I'm going to use an English word that does not exist. When you have a sexual encounter, you cannot unremember it. Okay, that's not an English word. But I'm trying to illustrate what I want you to understand. Okay, it means you can never get to a point in your life where you can put that aside and say, it was just a physical thing. It's not. It was just fun. It's not. Every other sin a man commits is outside his body. Right? Except this. Except this. This is you. That's the great exchange. So what you need to realize is you are taking yourself, supergluing yourself with somebody else. And many times you're not even prepared to be superglued with this person, to this person. That's what you need to be processing. Okay. Big one, right? Big one. Here's another stat. It says here that 1 in 3 teenage relationships experience violence in a relationship, which often occurs when one partner wants to exert power and control over the other. And both boys and girls fall victim to dating violence. So when you have a strong personality in a relationship, they tend to dominate that relationship. So one of the ways you need to watch what happens in a relationship is who talks all the time. He says the girl, oh, not all the time. Because she may use verbal language, you may use non-verbal language to prove your dominance. So talking is not just verbal. It could be non-verbal. There's a way you can look at it. That says, I'm the boss. Right? So you need to be aware of some of the dynamics that will be at play when we're talking about this. So violence then begins in very subtle ways, but it can have serious psychological impact in a relationship. When guys want to win a girl, it's hot, they're nice to the girl. You know, when the girl is cold, they'll take off their jacket and put it on the girl and so forth. So there'll be nice things a guy will do and so forth that make you feel like, oh, he's nice, he's lovely, and so forth. Well, watch beyond that. How does he speak to me? More importantly, how does he even speak to others? Because you get cues there of what he is really like. How does he speak to his siblings? How does he speak to his parents? Whew. Some of you are already worried, right? Because that forms a picture of the whole package. You know, he'll be nice to you or she'll be nice to you because they want you. But beyond that, what is the person really like? What is the person really like ultimately? Here's another one, another stat. Digital harassment by cell and internet is rife amongst teenagers, where a recent survey found that 18.6% of teens said a boyfriend or girlfriend spread rumors about them using a cell phone, email, instant messaging, web chat, blog, or social networking site. So that's that cyberbullying we talked about earlier on, where people now have smartphones. They have the internet. So a rumor can spread very quickly. I just have to post one thing and then it gets viral. And these days you can also be, photoshopped. I can take your head and put it on a different body and say, that's you, right? All those kinds of things can happen. Now, what it suggests to me, it suggests that you got yourself into the wrong kind of relationship. That's why you're now reaping the fruits of what you handed yourself into. Now, I'll talk a little later on that you should not even think about dating a non-Christian if you're a Christian. Because if you do, this is one of the things that you would have to deal with. Because for Christians, this might be a no-no, but for a non-Christian, this is normal. You know, if they're upset with you, they want to get to you, they will do this to you quite easily. Okay, then teenagers are inexperienced in dating relationships, and I want to underscore that line, and that's probably one of the key points of our discussion here. Teenagers are inexperienced in dating relationships and often have romantic ideas about love. So your idea of love is a couple holding hands all the time. Let me tell you, it gets tiring. It may be nice now, but when you live with a person every day, it can get, tiring. I used to hold my wife's hand across the seat, when you're driving. It felt amazing. These days we have a bigger car, I can't even reach it. Right? But I don't hold my wife's hand all the time. I do hold her hand. It gets to a point where that's not what it is about. It doesn't mean I love her less. Because let me tell you what dating is. Dating is when you put on your nice clothes, hopefully you've taken a shower, and then you call her or text her or whatever the case might be, and you go, I don't know where you go these days. We used to go to the Wimpy in my time, that was the place, and we used to have an ice cream, and we hold hands a little bit, and then maybe watch a movie, and then after that we go back to our separate homes, and it was a blast, right? When you get married, you live with that person every day. I don't know if you've seen what people look like first thing in the morning. I can guarantee you, you may not feel in love with them. There is no romance there whatsoever. Some people think stuff come out of their mouth. Some people snore like a bus. So your idea of this romantic love does not exist. It's superficial. Because in real life, love is a commitment to a person no matter what. That's what love is. Now, you have this idea we're going to be holding hands and walking on the beach. There is no beach in Johannesburg. They're just mine dumps. You can go try, you know. So there won't be these kinds of ideas that you have. I'm saying you need to revise what love is. Because your idea is, oh, we're going to live happily ever after, because that's the expression. Well, they're going to be hard days too. They're going to be hard days too. So you're going to have to be realistic about what true love is. The person you're in love with might fall ill, sometimes chronic illness. They are no longer the super energetic person that you married, you know, and are you going to look at that person and still say, I love you? Because your idea was beachfront, walking, bikini, and the guy or the girl is in a wheelchair. What are you going to do? So you're going to have to think about the true cost of what love is all about. Now, I look at most of the girls here. You look amazing, you know, slim, trim, amazing. When you have a baby, your body changes completely. Your shoe size go one up. So if you're a size 5, you'll be a 6. And then your waist, if you are 10, it can go to 14. Have you seen a pregnant woman? She has an all-round ministry. Right? Right? So you're going to have to look at that and say, I still love you. Her facial features during pregnancy can change. Some ladies, their nose gets enlarged. So she may not quite look the way you are seeing her now. So if your love is based on this Naomi Campbell look-alike, I'm sorry. She will get ugly and so will you. Okay, then teens are obviously inexperienced, who experience abuse are more likely to do badly at school, engage in risky behavior, have low self-esteem, become depressed and even suicidal, and they may also carry patterns of violence into other relationships. So your dating in this season has implications going forward. So if you date a bad person, you'll be suspicious of everybody else thereafter. You think guys always do this, or girls always do this, because you have invested yourself in a relationship you shouldn't have. So I'm just painting this picture for you to start processing what you need to prepare your heart for. Now, when I got married, I was 29. If I could do it all over again, I'll get married to the same woman. But if I could do it all over again, I'll probably not have looked at some of the girls that I thought were good, because some of them were not. I'm glad I waited long, which is good. I didn't start dating early. I had no time. I was in school. I don't know what you guys do. So I had to work on that. Here's another picture. What's happening on this picture? So one of the major challenges you're going to face for your generation during your times of trying to have a meaningful relationship is you probably won't learn very good communication skills because you're married to your phones. You don't talk. So these guys are on a date, but they are all on their phones. They call them smartphones, right? The phone is smart, but the user is not, right? So we need to find ways to manage this. Don't let this manage your life. Sometimes it's a good practice to put it away and really encounter people who are right there and right now with you, rather than trying to connect with people who are not even there, failing to connect with someone who's right here and right now. Are you getting the picture? So I'm painting all of this up front to really start speaking into our hearts about some of the practices that we need to get rid of. What's happening in that picture? Okay, she's pregnant. How do you know? How do you know? She's got that thing. What is that? Pregnant kid. Where do you guys know it from? Oh, you see. You watch lots of movies. You should know what it is. So, yeah. Now, here's a sad thing. All the girls listen to this part. Now, you may become sexually active. The guy will never carry the pregnancy. You will. The guy can even deny it and says, I'm not. But you will. And guys, except for one case, girls don't get pregnant on their own. It's you. It's you. So when you see a pregnant girl or teenager and you say, oh, how in the world did she do that? No, one of you did it. So it's not the girl alone. And sometimes it's not even that the girl wanted to. The guy forced himself. Or lied to the girl, or bought her ice cream or something like that. Look at what's Song of Songs I spent 2 years studying this book, and it has a very interesting passage called a refrain. The refrain says, do not arouse or awaken love till love comes naturally. In other words, don't stir up love before it's time. The advice in the book of Song of Songs is save your sexuality for the right time. If I could say anything today to you, that would be it. To say early dating has serious consequences and in many instances, very disastrous consequences. Like I said, only 2% of people who date as teenagers get married to that person. 98% don't. So waiting for the right person would make a lot more sense than trying to get into this relationship super early. So let me give you my 7 points of advice, and then we'll stop with that. So that you walk away hearing my heart if I were to speak to you today and give you some takeaways, and this would be it. So number one, when hormones are raging and romantic feelings are developing, it may not be the best time to be in a relationship that will pipe pressure on you. What does that mean? When you enter puberty, when your body becomes to develop and change, for girls, you're developing breasts. For guys, you are developing a beard and a low voice. You're starting to shave, both girls and guys. Yeah. And you have hair in places you shouldn't. So you are trying to get used to what you are becoming. And then at the same time, you want to bring another person into that matrix of confusion. It can only mean that neither of you are going to manage that process quite well. Do you get the point? So if you ask me if you're 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, I'm not sure. If you ask me. But if you ask you, it's your choice. If you ask me, I would say that's too soon. Besides, you actually don't have money. You see, dating is a lifestyle that needs sponsorship, right? You gotta, yeah. So if you're depending, I don't know how much pocket money your parents give you a week. It's not enough for you, right? Is it enough for you? Okay, it's not. I know. My daughter says the same too. So if it's not enough for you, imagine bringing someone else into your life. As a guy, if you bring a girl into your life, you gotta support that. You're gonna have to take it. The girls are saying we don't go for ice cream anymore. So whatever you go and do these days, it's not gonna be cheap. When I was dating, ice cream was 2 rand. Yeah, and it was a big thing. $2. Now, 27 rand. For decent ice cream, yeah, I know. Unless you want some cheap little ice cream from, yeah. Okay. Here's number two. Dating involves investing emotional, physical, psychological energy into someone that you usually have no guarantees with for the future. So this is another word of caution to you to say, okay, what you're really doing is taking your emotions, your physical, emotions about your feelings. So you're taking those feelings, depositing them with somebody that you think is going to help you. You're also taking the physical aspects of that relationship, because I know some of you think you're holy. You say, no, we don't touch. You will. But bearing in mind, if you're not going to get married to that person, are you putting fingerprints all over a person who's somebody else's future spouse? That's what you're doing. And you're taking the psychological energy, because if you break up, I guarantee you will cry. Even as a guy, you may tell, I'm tired. No. Go to bed in your own room, and then it will happen, right? With your friends, you're like, she was cheap after all. Yeah. With your friends, on your own, no. You cry like a baby. You even hide in that blanket and cry. That's what you're investing in a relationship. I'm actually asking you, is that a worthwhile investment, knowing what it entails? There are no guarantees whatsoever that this is the person you're going to get married to. Nothing, zero. You don't know. So when they ask me the question, how do I know the relationship is now serious? There's only one way you know. When there's a ring on someone else's finger, that's a serious relationship. Amen. Before that, you're playing games. Because read the Bible, you do not read of a situation where guys were dating for the sake of dating. They only dated to get married. There's not one passage in the whole Bible where guys went on a date. Not one.
Hallelujah. Preach it, brother.
Not one. That's why I am trying in very persuasive language to say to you, there are no guarantees. There are no guarantees. The only guarantee you have is when you have met the right person and you are also the right person. And the two of you now make a commitment to getting married, that's a serious relationship. At 14, Here's another important fact. Choosing to wait allows you to blossom into a mature, conscientious person geared towards becoming the right person, able to identify similar qualities in the other person. This is good. Basically means the younger you are, the more immature the decisions you make. So you have no real opportunity to identify qualities in someone that don't exist in you, because you don't even know what to look for. So all you're saying is, I'm in love with myself. And not because you don't even know what to look for in the other person. That's why guys, if you've seen guys, they say, oh man, look at that hot chick, oh man, look at those legs, and look. They say that because those are the cheap things to look for in a woman. A woman is not about legs and size of a backside, and that's not what makes up a woman. But a guy who is immature, that's what they see and say, oh man, she's hot. Meanwhile, you are out of shape. But you're superimposing qualities in someone else that don't exist in you. You have no ability to judge. Some girls, by the way, are very beautiful. No brains. Number four. Okay, I'll take that back. Number 4, life's priorities demands that you delay the need for self-gratification. Life's priorities demands that you delay the need for self-gratification by focusing right now on your studies, your career, and personal development. Now, girls, hear me. Very few girls recover from premarital sex and pregnancy. Very few. Once you make that mistake, it's not easy to recover from that. And your career may just be over. And some try to make up later on in life. And by the way, the guy moves on. Because once he's got you, he's conquered. It's time to find another mountain to climb. Because you are now in anthill. That's what happens. So right now, be a locked house that says, I got no time for this. I got no time for this. Yeah. You know what sometimes you have to say to a guy or a girl who is interested in you? Okay, how about final year of university? Yeah, how about we start having a serious conversation? I like you too, yeah. Final year university, let's start then. Having a serious conversation. So you delay. I was dean of students at BTC a few years ago, and what I discovered is my students did not struggle with their studies. They struggled because of their social life issues. They got into relationships they shouldn't have, even on campus. You know, a guy would fall into a relationship with a guy, with a girl, because they, yeah, even guys fell in love with guys at my college. And I did, it happened. And then what you will discover is, somehow the guy just think because the girl is at a theological college, she must be angelic. We were not an angel manufacturing institution at all. Even devils came there. But a guy would just say to himself, because she's at the college, she must be one, and they get into a relationship, and things just never worked out. And then their studies start to get affected, and then you have a quality student first year, poor student second year, drop out third year. That was the pattern. And you know that 60% of our first years never finished. 60%. So guys who started with us, not everybody saw us to the end of the 4 years of the training. Why? Social issues, something like that. You want it now. You don't want to wait. You don't want to wait. Okay, number 5. Number 5 is this one. It's easier to date in groups, which allows you to watch a person, especially in their unguarded moments. Here's one of the challenges I've seen about you, guys, is once you are in a relationship, you isolate yourselves from everybody else. So much that sometimes even in church, you can't worship because it's just you and her. Wherever you go, it's you and her. She has no opportunity, he has no opportunity to even be buddies with anybody else. Because it's just you and her. Sometimes you got good buddies, guys will hang out together, and then he falls in love, and then he falls out of love with you, the rest of you. The best time to really get to know a person is when they don't know that you are watching them. Because dating by nature means that I must put on my best behavior to win your heart, of course. But once I get you and you're mine, too late. It's too late because you've already invested your heart. Have you seen people that you go to and you say, but he's the wrong guy for you? Sometimes a girl gets beat up by a guy and then you say, why are you still hanging out with this guy? But I love him. Yeah. Because you have not allowed your heart to have an opportunity to see that the grass is much greener on the other side. You have isolated yourself with one person, and then you think that's it. And another mistake you make is, if you're here at Florida Baptist, you think that all the girls in the world are at Florida Baptist. There are several Baptist churches in South Africa. Go to summer camp, and look, But summer camp is also deceiving because people behave because they know they're being watched. It's not the best place. Get to know a person really well. In fact, summer camp, you shouldn't do it. I said university, remember? Target place. Get there first. And then you start dating. I finished a master's before I got married. I was not in a hurry to get married. So I don't know why you guys at 14 think you've arrived. Or you finish matric and you say, I finished school. No, school does not finish at matric. You are only halfway to the end, So don't get yourself into this situation. Then dating a non-Christian with the hope that they'll become a Christian makes it impossible for the person to become a Christian actually. Besides, I don't know if you know this, that it's actually God who saves, not you or your prayers. Can I make it official that you are not the fourth member of the Trinity? You cannot save anybody. Even if you mean it sincerely, but I'll pray for him, you cannot save anybody. So most of you think, well, I'll pray for him or I'll pray for her. Because you've compromised, it almost makes the person realize you don't value your faith. Because if you did, you would not have been involved in this relationship. But now that you did, they're saying, you're not serious. Tell you a true story. One of my buddies I studied with, this is how he became a Christian. He was dating a Christian girl. And he came to me one day and says, explain to me this thing. I says, what thing? He says, no, I was reading my girlfriend's Bible. And in this part, it says that you must not be unequally yoked. What is that all about? He literally came across that passage reading his girlfriend's Bible. He was not a Christian. We were at varsity together. And I says, well, it actually means that a Christian should not be involved with a non-Christian. He says, are you serious? I says, yeah. He says, I got a question to ask somebody. He went to the girl and says, I want to know something. Your Bible says you must not be involved in me, so why are you going out with me? And the girl says, well, because I think you're innocent. But your Bible says that you must not be in a relationship with me. You know what? I think you're fake. Left the girl because he says there's nothing authentic about you, not even your faith. I was a good brother. I was a good brother to have, challenge the girl. He actually became a Christian because of that, but still dumped the Christian girl. Number 7, trusting the wisdom and input of others eliminates the blind spots you may have. Please hear me. You don't have the ability to see everything you need to see in anybody. You will see some things, but not everything. And the people that are sitting in this room, we all have a history. We all have. And that history can come with baggage or issues or whatever. They say love is blind, right? Marriage is an eye-opener. Because in marriage, you will see things that you did not see when you were in love. Couple comes into my office for marriage, you take a seat, they sit in one chair, they're in love. One chair, take a seat, 2 chairs, they'll sit on one chair. They're in love. And then they want to get married, which they do end up getting married. 6 months down the line, the same couple comes into the same office, and you now say, take a seat, they now sit on 2 chairs. Why? Eyes have been opened. Now, issues that you didn't see when you were dating, that you could have asked somebody else to help with, come to the fore. So here's what you need to do. You need to trust the community of believers. If you have strong Christian parents, please trust them because they know you. Because they know you, they can also look at the person that you're interested in and tell you the truth. I was interested in a girl. She was the beauty pageant in my hometown, and I thought I would start dating her. And my practice was, if I wanted to go out with a girl, I'll take her home. That was what I did. So I took her home, and afterwards I took her back to her house. I came back proudly to say to my mom, what did you think? And my mom started saying Prada, Gucci, all the labels she was wearing. And she says to me, I thought you're going into ministry. I says, yeah. I says, so how are you going to afford all these? Practical, right? Now, I was oblivious to that, and because I was just in love with a girl. I couldn't afford Prada and Gucci and all these labels that she had on. So that relationship ended. Why? Somebody who could see past me enabled me to evaluate this person. So you need to start trusting the community of believers to say, and sometimes, please, don't fall in love and then say to them, what do you think about this person? Oh, you're going to get hurt. Rather, before you get there, ask generally, what do you think about this person? So if they say she's ugly, you have no commitment. But once you've committed and then you ask people their opinion, you're going to think they're jealous or they don't like you, but they're just being honest. So wait until you've also had input from others. I'm going to end with this because our time is up. Look at Proverbs 18:22. There was a little more to come, but we'll end here because our time is up. It says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. Do you know what was amazing about this scripture for me? It actually dawned on me this morning. I'd never seen it before. Can I tell you? It does not say he who finds a girlfriend or a boyfriend. Okay, I end there.